Hey folks, it's time for another TWiP Pro Photo Critique. This is the flower episode. This is TWiP. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the TWiP Pro Photo Critique. I'm here once again with my buddy, Mr. Troy Miller. We're going to be stepping through the latest submissions to the community, to the critique area, the critique topic within the community. This week's topic was flowers, as selected by Troy Miller. Troy, flowers, huh? Apparently people like flowers. There's a lot of flowers in there, including myself. I posted a flower.
There's a lot of flowers. Yeah, I think this has got to be one of the highest turnouts of any topic that we've picked. I think there's like just over 20. So, that was the intention.
Yeah, that was the intention. It's an easy subject. A lot of people have flowers in their house already, or outside their house at the very least. So, take your camera out there, get a little water spritzer. That's what I did.
Already prepping your image.
Hey, you call it cliche, and it is cliche, but cliches are cliches for a reason. Just say it.
Yeah.
So we're not going to spend too much time on each one of these images because, like we said, there's a ton of them in here. So we're gonna go at a relatively fast clip. But that said, let's dive in. You ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. Let me bring up the critique area. Here we go. Let's move to the top here. All right. First one is from Mr. Jim Peters.
17 minutes ago.
17 minutes ago, which is late because it's 12:32 as we record this. All right. Here we go. Okay, let's use this flow, Troy. Let's look at it and say quickly what you would have changed and what you like about it, and then we'll move on to the next one.
I love the color palette. I love the difference between the sky and the color of the flower. I do think that it's cropped a little bit loose on the top. Again, it's one of those pet peeves of mine is that there's space up there that we really don't need. But I dig it. Yeah, I like the colors.
What about this little appendage down there? Would you have removed that?
I wish it wasn't there, or I wish they were in bloom. I mean, I understand that this flower, the nature of this particular flower, but if they're burned down a little bit like they are, they're probably not that big a distraction because it's really the flowers, the color of those flowers that stand out. So maybe tighter, more macro, get those shadows in there.
I agree. Yeah, I like what I like about this image is that it's capturing the light from the other side, so it's illuminating through the flower and the sort of I forgot what those little things are called inside those
stamen.
Yeah, those. So I focus on that, get close to sort of emphasize that is what the shot is about. Like even really tight like that would have made the silhouettes of those kind of pop out a little bit more.
Yeah. Cool. I do like the backlight though. That was a nice perspective.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Jim Peters, thank you, sir. Moving right along, Mark Charrette is up next. Mark says he calls this one the red horns of spring. Let's dive into it here. I like that. That's crazy. That looks like an alien.
Well, it's in Australia, so
technically,
there you go. It is semi-alien.
It is. So if it's in Australia, that means this thing will probably kill you if you get close to it.
Yeah. Or there's something on it that could get you.
Right.
I dig it. I think it's really neat. I like the contrast again between the color, and I like the perspective of getting down underneath the flower, shooting up. I feel like it's been heavily processed there's some tonal clipping between the green and the blue. So that's kind of drawing my attention a little bit. Again, this is like one of those kind of things, like flowers are naturally beautiful and they naturally stand out and they're naturally kind of cool. So I think, moving in and being abstract or giving us a perspective other than what I might see if I'm just standing there.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. These bits at the top there look like jalapenos to me. I don't know why. It's just,
Or horns. Yeah.
yeah, or horns. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does make it look evil, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's coming
yeah.
for you. You don't want to wake up with that thing just sort of moving inexplicably along the edge of your bed at night, right?
Yeah, this is Little Shop of Horrors. This is what the plant started like.
Yeah, the Audrey too.
Audrey, that's right. Oh my gosh.
Feed me, Seymour. All right, moving right along. Karen Sweeney's up next. And Karen Sweeney says, fuchsia tumbling from a hanging basket.
That's
I love those colors. Cool. Those are some serious colors. Those are Prince and the Revolution colors right there.
Yeah, they are. I've always loved these flowers a lot. I think that they're just very delicate. I like the way that they open up and the way that the petals open and the flowers below that and they hang down. The challenge that I have with this one is we have a very loose crop that we really don't need, and I feel like the direction of lighting could be better. You know, like I know that it's coming from the left a little bit, but it's a little bit flat, and these flowers could really use a little bit more punch.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. But I do like the color palette. The color palette is really interesting. I thought you were going to say something about this sort of leaf that's kind of getting cut off on the edge there. I know how you don't like to have body parts chopped off the frame.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to crop this semi-tight to where that leaf was gone and really focus in on the flowers themselves, I think that'd be a much stronger image. We don't need to see the vines in the background. We don't need to see all that extra space, because it's really about the flowers, and the rest of that is just distracting. So, yeah, but it's a beautifully done, nice and sharp. The stamens are sharp. The back flowers slightly out of focus creates some good depth of field. So, yeah,
and it has a border and a key line.
Yes. We didn't talk about it. We're not talking about it.
We're not talking about it.
It takes time when we talk about that stuff.
All right. Here's one from me. I threw this one in here last night. We picked up these flowers from the grocery store yesterday, and yes, is an exercise in cliche. Yes, the close-up shot of the flower with the water droplets on it, but like we said, cliches are cliches for a reason. I like it. You know, it reveals a world. You know, this close-up shot of the flower for me reveals kind of an interesting, scary world. Because if you saw this in real life, you know what this reminded me of? You remember Star Wars? With that scene when they were out in the desert, and you know there was the great Sarlacc that was in the sand, and they were, you know, Boba Fett got messed up. This reminds either that or like I titled this Tremors. I titled this event Horizon because it kind of reminds me of like what a black hole might be as you get past the point of no return. Kind of head into it. But this was a quick shot. I shot this with one of my favorite cameras, the G9, the Lumix G9 Micro Four Thirds, with a 45 millimeter macro lens on it, one light source, that Godox AD200 Pro, which you have on the way, I believe. Yep. And that was fired through a softbox, and that was it. Just played around, getting different perspectives. This is not, I don't believe this is cropped at all. This is straight out of camera, just like this.
That's great.
Processed it. This was processed in Lightroom, and then I put it into just to play around. I don't know if I made any appreciable changes to it in Luminar, but just played around with, kind of popping the contrast on those droplets just a little bit. But that was it. And put a little vignette on it. And that was it.
Yeah, if it had a key line and a border, it'd be perfect. No, oh my God. Don't go there.
I can't do that. I can't do it because, like we talked about before we started recording, this shot is going to be printed on metal. So I'm gonna print it on metal to see what it looks like.
I love these. I really like these kind of shots. I mean, look, flowers are just pretty by themselves, right? Like they don't even need us to touch them. They're cool. So anything we add to them and create difference in them makes the image all that much better. And I like the fact that, you know, it's got the center off on the thirds. I like the fact that it's wet, that it's been sprinkled with some water. That shows a lot of really good intention. So I dig it.
Cool.
I'm assuming that Mighty probably crushed the shadows in the center.
Yeah.
Because it would be nice to be able to have a little bit more depth into the shadow. And then my only other nitpick would be at 6 o'clock, there's that specular highlight, and there's another one at like maybe 10 o'clock. Those two specular highlights just really just draw my attention.
Oh,
and
interesting. Okay.
very easy to fix. I mean, you've got water in there, and at some point, one of the water drops are going to pick up your light, and you're going to see it. But that's it. Yeah, very cool. This would look really good, big.
It's fun. Yeah, thank you. We'll see how it looks. Yeah, this kind of shot is interesting because it's so easy to make changes to these shots and clone things out. Like I can fix that easily because it's so random and such high frequency.
Right.
It's not like you have to be. There's no repeating patterns for the most part in here, so you can just clone away and no one will ever know.
Right. I'll know if it's bad.
You'll know if I do it bad. You'll know.
I'll see it.
All right. Armando says lotus flowers in Park Hyatt, Siem Reap, Cambodia.
Wow, that's cool.
That is. How about that intentional color contrast and pop?
Yeah, I always love the fact that Armando pushes the colors, right? Like he always pushes colors right to the edge, and I love that because it's his style. It's very clearly his style. I love the color palette. Can't talk in this. I'm frustrated. Not frustrated. I wish it was balanced better. Right, like I wish the statue was centered left and right, and then that way the flowers would be floating off on the sort of the right third, and I feel the composition would be a little bit better.
Yeah, yep, I agree. But look, and there's water on those flowers too. Just to
yeah. I wonder, did he walk up and miss that with a water bottle?
You know what I was gonna do probably, and there's no hate in that. Why not, right?
Yep.
You know what I was going to do? I may still do this while those flowers are still alive and viable. Do a shot like that with the water droplets, but instead of water, I'm going to put milk in the spray bottle to see what white droplets look like on a contrasting film like this.
Okay. Or mist them with lighter fluid and then
light them on fire. Of course, because why not, right?
Yeah.
All right. Next shot up is from Steve Van Sickle.
Oh, that's very cool. That's like UV.
He said, this is UV. No caption. Let's bring this up. All right. What do you think?
Yeah, it's very interesting. You know, the color palette is one of those kind of things that feels odd, like we recognize the object, but the color palette is what's kind of throwing us, you know, off in the sense like, this doesn't feel normal. But I love that. I do wish that it was vignetted so that the center of the flower was the brightest point, and then it got darker as it fell out, so it would draw us to the center. Right now, the center is dark, and the petals kind of draw our attention, especially the right half and the lower right corner. So yeah, I feel like it'd be nice to burn those down and then
I agree.
Clean up some of those little threads.
I like it. It is so much fun taking. I mean, you could have so much fun with flowers. You know, just with like what I did with a big piece of construction paper, black for the background and the flower and something to hold it up, and just take pictures and play around with it and post. It's a ton of fun.
Oh yeah. They're great subjects. Yeah. Flowers are great subjects.
Next shot is from Joshua Sommerfeld. He says, "From my swamp shoot Sunday."
Oh wow.
Bring that up.
It feels very Twilight Zone.
It feels very fractal.
Very fractal. Yeah, it does. Yeah. That's very cool. I would have never. I had to have built that. No, that's
real.
Is that a real flower that's just been masked?
I want to say, yeah. That's what
I think so. Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Wow, because at first, before I looked at it, I assumed that it was like a particular flower that had been, mimicked, right? Like
Yeah.
filtered and created the fractal pattern. But
Step and repeat. Yeah.
yeah, now I look at it like, no, that's not it.
No. No.
I do like it. It's hard to identify what it is at first, I think, and maybe that's the abstract nature of it, which I really like. I would love to maybe see some of the highlights come up a little bit, or maybe that's just mighty, the network pushing them down.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. It is a little bit muddy, but not to an egregious level. But I don't know. It's seasoned to taste, right? Because my
Sure.
sensibilities want to see it pop just a little bit more. I always want to see things pop just a little bit more, and I skew away from flat. This isn't flat per se, but yeah, the highlights could use a little bit more. In my opinion, to season to my taste, the highlights would pop just a little bit more.
Right. But I like it. This is one of those kind of images that you have to look at and study for a time to kind of get what's going on, and I love that. It's not what you thought it was, obviously, out of the at your first glance. So
Yeah. Yep. And this will probably look good big too.
Yeah.
If the processing is flawless, and it will stand up to a big, scrutiny at a big size, which it looks like it would to print this big and have this on the wall. I could definitely see that, or as part of a collection of images in the same vein.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you, Joshua Summerfelt. Moving right along. Stephen Scharf is up next. And he calls this one Clevia.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up now. That must mean something.
Yeah,
or that's the kind of flower.
Yeah.
I do really like this. I feel like there's a reflection at the bottom, so that's very cool. It's definitely been masked. So, right away my brain's like, okay, can I see where it's been masked? Mm-hmm. Well, first off, I love the color palette. I like that orange and then the green, leaves kind of falling down. I wish it was simpler even. I wish it was just like one petal or two petals and one leaf. I feel like it's just this is crying out to be very simplistic, but
yeah. And a lot of these are, because flowers are intricate, right? They're like little worlds in and of themselves, and the closer you get to them, the more of that little world is revealed. And from the standpoint of interest in making something interesting, we want to see things that we haven't seen before. So when you step in closer, that's why I zoomed in close on that one. I did on the one that I did. I had a ton of shots that were just the flower on a black background, and they were like, okay. And I was like, okay, let me throw that macro lens on and go in deeper. Right. And when I did that, I was like, holy hell, I didn't know all that was in there. It's a little tiny flower. So yeah, it's other worlds are revealed when you just take time to look a little bit closer.
Yeah. And, like on this one, on the right hand side, like about 3 o'clock, you got that petal with the tear in it, and like you can fix that. When you're masking images like this and taking them to black, you got to be very careful. That edge should not be really, really sharp, and the color should fade off a little bit, and it should be a little bit soft on some of those edges, to feel a little bit more natural. Because I can see some of the masking areas in there, or maybe it's just something in the background that makes it look like that. But I have a friend of mine, Karen Nakamura, and she's also an artist at Pack Artist, and she does flowers. Flowers are what she does, and it's amazing. Her work is absolutely amazing. But some of the shots she builds from the best flowers. Awesome.
And what Stephen resisted? He resisted the urge to bring out the spritzer bottle on this flower.
He did. He's a purist. That's why.
He could have I could have seen like a little drop of water, just sort of hanging precariously from the bottom. No, this is a cool shot, Steven. Thank you. Love the colors.
I love it. Yeah. Very classic. It would look great, printed. Again, that's one of those images that you could just put anywhere.
Yep, for sure. All right. Next up is Eric Pronsky. And Eric says, flowers on a table. Image taken at a small hotel in Cholula, Mexico, right before everything shut down. All right, let's take a look.
Wow.
All right.
I gotta say, I really, really, really like almost everything about this image.
Except that placemat thing in there. Is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would have been so much stronger without the distraction of that thing in there, because then the symmetry would have popped out more, because you got two chairs back there, the vase right in the middle, albeit not on the edge. I know it's messing with your OCD, because you, Troy Miller, would want that vase moved over just a little bit so it's in the middle of this line right here, and then the chairs shifted over to the right, and then these chairs perfect. If all that symmetry was in there and this was gone, it would have been a different image, I think. But
oh my gosh,
but even as it stands now, it's not a bad image. It's a cool image, but it would have been stronger, I think, with a little bit more symmetry in there.
So some images, at least in my mind, they have an intention. They have a voice, and this image is almost there. And this image really just requires balance and symmetry within this image. Mm-hmm. And you can do it with what we have here, right? Crop off the space right above the chairs on the bottom. Mm-hmm. Clone out the mat that's left. Get rid of those center lines that are giving away that it's off center on the table. So you do a little bit of cloning work, right? A little tuning in there. Mm-hmm. You can even nudge the chair over ever so slightly to get it closer or further away. I would move it further away.
The one on the left here, move that closer, or move the one on the right further away?
I would move the one on the right further away, because you could do it and it won't really make a huge difference. I mean, even if you don't want to do that, just leave that. And then it goes up by a magnitude for me. Yeah.
Yep. And maybe just, it looks like he may have done it a little bit, but a smattering of a vignette on there just to draw you into the center of the frame and emphasize the symmetry.
Correct. And the lighting on the wall on the left is darker than the lighting on the wall on the right. Mm-hmm. So get that lighting to be exactly the same as much as you can. Get those values down, even the values behind the plant, in between the stems. Bring that wall value down as much as you can. Pretty easy to do in like Capture One. You would just select that color and create a mask, and then
I gotta dive into Capture One. I do. I'm hitting the wall. But as we were saying before we started recording, as we record this on the 19th of October 2020, Adobe Max is about to kick off this week, and there may be some announcements on Lightroom changes, so which makes it an interesting time to either double down on Lightroom or jump over to Capture One. So interesting. I know what you're going to say.
I jumped that ship a long time ago. I don't even care. I mean, they could pump out quarters every time I get an image edited, and I'm going to stay in Capture One because I love it.
Really? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And that was Eric. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, great image, Eric.
All right, here is Nora Znotinas. Nora's been crushing it lately. Japanese anemone. This is the one. There's certain words in the language that your brain hates. This is a word that my brain hates.
Anemone.
Yeah, it doesn't like to say that. Like, my brain just does not like to pronounce that word. So I'm not going to.
Oh man.
So look at this shot. So this one it hit a vein with me, because it is like, after I shot mine was like an exercise in detail, in pop, in contrast, in saturation, and showing this hidden world. And this one is not that. This is an exercise in how delicate this life form is, and the interplay of colors and the softness of it. And I just dig it. I really like it. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it too. You know, one of the things about like shooting when you get into like macros, if you compare like a macro to like real world landscape, if you're standing in front of a tree and you're photographing a mountain, that tree is out of focus, right? Unless you focus stack it. But that's not realistic, right? So, but when we go into macro, we tend to have this tendency to want to put everything into focus, which doesn't show us depth, which doesn't show us the vastness of if you were an ant sitting on one of those petals, what it would look like to you.
Yeah.
Right. And so to me, the perspective is if I'm going to get small and get into this world, I want to shoot it as if I was small, which small depth of field and vastness and size and perspective. And so this just does that for me. And I really like the delicacy of this, which we don't often see when we're photographing flowers. So yeah. Most of the time it's covered in water and, you know,
whatever. Hey, she could have sprayed some water on these.
She could have, but she didn't.
She didn't. No, and I think the image is better for it, for sure.
Yeah, definitely this image, certainly. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Beautiful image.
Thank you, Nora. Nora's crushing it. All right, James Glennie is up next. And James says, a shot of the lovely peony flower in our garden. Yeah. Look at that one.
Oh, wow. That looks like a treat, like a popcorn cheese puff or something.
It does. I was going to say that. It does look edible.
Yeah, that's funny. That just shows how hungry we probably are.
I know. It's lunchtime. Yeah, it's definitely lunchtime.
I dig it. This is a great image. I love the color contrast. I wish that cheese puff was perfectly centered, but it's not. It at least it doesn't feel like it is. Let me see. I'm trying to. No, it's definitely not centered. It's tighter to the bottom and the left. So yeah, when you crop something square and its voice is make me center. I want to be in the center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it's slightly off center, it wants to be in the center. But if it's intentionally, like in a rule of third, like if he had put the popcorn in the lower left, right, then it would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, it's down there. It's just intentionally off balance, which leads to its composition. Right,
absolutely, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I like the shot. I like the fuchsia with the big, aggressive pop of color in the middle. Love it.
I do too. Yeah. And we're not going to mention the nice border treatment.
I was not going to mention that. I was trying to get through it without saying anything about it. Thanks, James. All right. Raphael, aka the Timber Geek, is up next. Raphael says, early June 2019 at Hollister House Gardens in Washington, Connecticut. Let's take a look. Yeah, talk about aliens, right? That's an alien.
Yeah, that's very Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, it is. Or coronavirus, right?
I drove over to PAC the other day, which is in Santa Ana, and there was a shop out there that had piñatas, and one of them was the coronavirus.
Good. I love it. I'd whack that thing.
I really like this, and I love the fact that it's not something I'm used to seeing. So I love the interest, right? The variety that comes up. I'm trying to figure out the crop. I feel like I feel like there's a lot of distraction in the background. Like I wish this was shot from a slightly lower angle to move the flower itself up into the darkness of the green, and so it would stand out and not compete with the background as much. But I do appreciate the fact that it's sharp. It's really sharp from the center all the way out to the edge and enough into the image so the stem doesn't fall out. So that's really, really nice.
Yeah, I dig it too. Yeah, and it's interesting. I think if I was to change anything about this image, and this has been a common theme throughout as we talk about these flowers, is to crop in a little bit, show more detail. This guy at the bottom in the bottom right, I don't know that I want him in there because he's just he's out of focus and he's cut off. So maybe content and wear him out or reposition to get him out of there and make it all about this main character and his supporting background singers back there, and maybe crop a little tight because we don't need a whole lot of that greenery on the edge, and that brings us into the detail of this foreground organism and makes it more of the star of the show.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Well said.
Why, thank you. All right, and that was Raphael. Thank you. Moving right along, Lamb is up next, and Lamb says, my entry for the theme flower, hibiscus, is the national flower of Malaysia. I didn't know that.
I did not know that. That's
And
very
now,
cool.
If you don't know, now you know.
I have a bunch of
G.I. Joe. Did you watch G.I. Joe when you were a kid? You remember?
I probably did. I don't remember.
You remember the little interstitials they had between? They would tell some like little story about how to be a good person, and at the end of every one they'd be like, and now you know, because knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe.
I do not remember that. That is probably when I went and got some more cheese crunchies or something.
I don't know. You were out riding dirt bikes.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
No, this is cool. What do you think of this shot?
This is really great. I love the perspective. I love these flowers. I like how they hang. My challenge with this one is, well, first of all, I love the fact that the main flower has a dark background, so we get really good separation. That's a big win. But we got that really bright upper left-hand corner, and that's going to be distracting for sure. So I feel like, let's crop this in a little bit. Let's get rid of that little bloom on the left, crop out some of that top left, and then focus in on our main subject, the hero of this image, and I think will be a little stronger.
I agree. Flowers are so alien. Flowers are like,
oh yeah,
I don't know, they're like the octopus of the non-aquatic world, right? They're like these weird appendages coming out. Like I could see this animating out and look at it. It looks like it wants to come get you. Oh man, I love
That's
evolution.
True. That is true.
Evolution.
Like a cuttlefish.
Yes, right. Thank you, aliens. I still stand on that. If aliens, most of the hydrogen is the most prevalent, or one of the most prevalent elements in the universe, right? Which means there's a lot of water out there, and it stands to reason that aliens, theoretically, yeah, everything's there, that aliens would be aquatic, right? So if they were to visit us, and the planet is 2/3 water, why would they come in spaceships and hover over land with these, like, the infestation of these carbon-based life forms? Why not go into the water? And if you were to go into the water and put your progeny on the planet, cuttlefish and octopus, or cephalopods in general are aliens, is my point.
That's awesome.
All right. Thank you, Lamb. Got another education from Lamb. Now I feel like we need to go to Malaysia at some point. We need to do a Malaysian TWiP adventure and visit Malaysia and have Lamb show us around.
Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be very cool.
All right, next shot. All right. Speaking of contrived, see? Water drops from V. Craig Stanley. All right. There you go.
Why does it look like there's teeth in the middle of that flower?
Because there are teeth in there. There
are teeth.
Those are teeth. They're right in there.
Yeah. I love the dark tone of this image a lot, and I like the fact that the center is where we're really drawn into, and that's where most of the focus is. I'm not even bothered by the water droplets, but what I am a little bothered by are the dried water droplets that leave those little watermarks behind.
Okay. Yeah.
So might clean those up, especially just lower left of the center. There's quite a few in there. But I love the toning. Yeah, I love that dark background, and I really dig the toning of this.
Yep, and the teeth in the middle.
And the teeth in the middle. Yeah, exactly.
Flowers are stuff of nightmares, man. I'm telling you.
It can be. Yeah.
They look so beautiful from far away, but the closer you get, they look like they will destroy you. All right, Amy Brooks. No. Amy Brooks is up next, and Amy says, want to do something a little more with this week's critique, and I learned how to add a border and capture one from Troy's tutorial on his YouTube channel. Oh, yeah. Troy polluting the universe with the border stuff. Look at that.
No, I'm just simply putting tools out there. How they're used is not up to me.
Uh-huh. Spoken like a true Smith & Wesson.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah. What do you think? I like the shot. What do you think? I don't mind the border on this one at all. I think it helps on this shot.
Yeah.
And it kind of it traps the cross in the frame. I don't know. I mean, when I look at shots like this and I see stuff that's bleeding off the edge, like a little Troy Miller with a beanie shows up on my shoulder saying, it's cutting off that thing on the side, so either put it in there or get rid of it, right? So yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Looking at this, I like the story. I like what's going on, and it makes me want to read the sign, and it makes me want to know more. And I think that's one of the most powerful things of what a photograph can do is it triggers our imagination, whether we're talking about aliens or, life on another planet, or just I wonder what this is all about, and that's great. From a technical perspective, a couple things. I wish that the image was more centered. I don't think we need negative space on the right, and I wish we had a little more space on the left, because I wish those flowers at the bottom were in the center, right?
Yeah, there's a little more room all around. Like I would lose that tree on the left. It feels like it's a little tight on the top and a little tight on the bottom. So maybe just a little bit. Like if that tree was gone, I'd be fine with the spacing on the left. And if that tree was gone on the left, I think that would make the balance okay with the amount of space on the right. And if it had a little bit more headroom too, it would kind of balance it out more. But it feels a little tight. And a little bit like there's a lot of activity happening off to the left of the frame, which makes me lean and feels like I'm leaning to the left.
Right. And I would still say, yes, remove the tree. It's very, very easy to do. Remove the telephone poles and the light poles in the bottom. But I would still wonder, why do I have this negative space on the right? Yeah. It doesn't speak to me. So, it's up to the artist. But I don't see a need for it. So give me more of my subject and let me see that. I also wonder if the toning is intentional in the fact that the highlights are flat. And it's a little bit more moodful if they're flat, a little bit more like foggy day kind of thing when they're flat.
Right.
But I might try to bring up the highlights a little bit, not the contrast in the image. You'll increase contrast naturally, but just the highlight side. Use the whites and the highlight slider and bring those up a little bit.
We talk a lot about like the star of the show and the hero of the image. Who's the hero in this image? Is it the cross? Is it the flowers? I mean, obviously this is a flower critique, so the flowers are germane here. But when you look at it out of the context of a flower critique, what's the hero?
For me, the hero is the cross. To me, this is really a photograph of the cross, and it's this sort of humane mortal experience that we all can relate to at some point or another, and we can see the flowers are an accent to that. And it's sort of the honoring of that person and whatnot. That's why the flowers are there. So I kind of see the hero of this is really the cross. And I would go so far as to say that if you really want to push this image the furthest, is even bring up the exposure on the name plate, on the horizontal part of the cross, just enough so that stands out above everything else. And then your eyes will immediately go there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that wouldn't be hard to do at all, to do that.
No, basically dodging it. Yeah.
Cool. Very nice shot. And that was Amy Brooks. All right. Mark Harris is up next. Mark Harris says, daisies. After watching the 2 daisy plants at the end of our walk growing all summer, the flowers burst open in the last couple of weeks. Let's take a look. Yeah.
Oh,
see?
cool.
And no water.
Yeah, I love that. No border. Yeah.
No water droplets. No water droplets.
Oh, no water.
Border.
Sorry. I love the dark background. I feel like we have 2 images here, though.
Yeah.
You know, that gap in the middle is just really, really, really separating those 2. And I feel like half a step to the left, get the bunch that's in focus right in the center, and have those 2 on the back kind of out of focus to sort of frame it.
Yeah.
I think that would be strong.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Or yeah, my brain is looking at this and saying, "Oh, I know these are probably growing like that, but I'd want to like rotate these to the right a little bit so that the stem is more perpendicular, and then crop, get rid of this guy completely, and just make this one the hero." You know, and just sort of focus in on that one. And pop
it's
colors
funny
a little bit. It feels like a half a stop underexposed or something. I mean, pop it just a little bit so that it's a little bit brighter. The whites are a little bit brighter.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I looked at this and immediately I noticed who it was. And I thought, oh, these flowers are lit like a lot of his models. You know, they're lit like single window light or off camera light, you know, and dark backgrounds. That's very much Mark's style. And the flowers kind of carry that through, which is very cool, which is very cool.
You like what you like, right? You like what
you like. Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you, Mark.
It's a great image. Yeah. Good job, Mark.
All right. Next shot up is from Michael Brown. And Michael says, stand by. Michael hasn't submitted for a lot of critiques. Welcome. An old experiment titled Rose-Colored Glasses. Let's bring that up. All
That's
right.
great.
It's loading. There we go. Boom. All right.
Yeah.
What would you do here? I have my own opinions. I'm curious before I lead the witness. I want to hear what you say.
Honestly, I am very, very distracted by the background and some of the tracks that are in there. There's all these dots everywhere. So there's noise and stuff. And so I'm very distracted by that.
Oh, I see those. Yeah.
And then some of the fuzz or, you know, detritus or whatever that's on that branch. So, you know, immediately the first thing is I see that stuff and I'm distracted from the rest of the image.
Yeah. I think if you clean that stuff up, whatever those tracks are, I don't know what those are, and that detritus, I think a stronger image for me would have been if I could see. I know that this is an upside down refraction or reflection of the rose in the background, but it's too much out of focus, so I can't. I'm not putting. My brain isn't putting it together. It's just like a splotch of red back there that kind of matches what's in the droplets. So I'd want a little bit more definition back there. And then secondly, I'm on the fence. I don't know if I want 2 droplets in there. I think I'm okay with a composition with 1 droplet in there, that, you know, and then closer, so that, you know, there's the 1 droplet hanging, remove the detritus and these little tracks in there. And I can see the rose in the background a little bit better, so that my brain makes the connection of, oh, that's what's back there, you know. And then we have a much stronger image. Right now, everybody's competing with each other. Those tracks are competing. The detritus on the branch thingy is competing. The 2 reflections are competing with each other. So there's a lot going on. I think that you could simplify this and it'd be a much stronger image.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, just remove all the distractions and then play with rotating it 180 degrees. You know, we know water droplets hang, but play with our brains a little bit and just flip it.
Clever. Boy. All right. Thank you, Michael Brown.
We're nearing the end. Four more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep.
Oh, that was quick. All right, Amy Brooks is up next. Amy says, taking a few years back in my Oregon garden, hydrangeas come in all shapes and colors, and this varietal is one of my favorites. When I saw this, you know what I thought? I thought of a Smurf convention. Shot with a drone.
Oh my gosh. Where your brain goes.
I don't know, man. That's what happens. It's a Smurf convention shot with a drone.
I love it. I like these colors. I have these in my backyard as well. And they always have they're sort of odd when they first start blooming. You know, I think that's the best time to photograph these as well. Yeah. For me, it's like, I want to be closer. You know, I know we've said that a couple times, and I think that really what it comes down to is if you were to walk up to this flower, this is what I'm going to see. And so how would you shoot it differently? And push in, right? Even if you just cropped it, I think you could get a lot. But the way that the image is presented, I really love the shallow depth of field. I like the colors. Very well done. Nice balance. A little loose on the bottom. We could crop that. Mm-hmm. Maybe make it
no, go ahead.
A little tighter. No, I just make it a little tighter left and right as well.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think another way to approach this would be if you, if you wanted to kind of emphasize that this is part of a small, it's a small part of a larger sort of life form there, move that cluster of blue and green to one of the rules of thirds, right? And maybe even pull out just a little bit so you show more of the surrounding plant, but then you're getting into, hey, look at this little explosion of color in the sea of kind of dark green, right? And then kind of play into that. She's already playing into it with the depth of field, so that whole miniature effect is in effect. But if you kind of played, you could, like you said, you could get in close and show that other world, or zoom out a little bit and show that this is a cluster of amazing color that's popping off of this background of green. So just two different ways to approach it.
Right. And just as a good lesson, just sort of put in your thought bag, when you walk up to a subject is, okay, I've walked up to it. Here's how I'm seeing it. If I just bring my camera to my eye, that's what anybody could do. Yeah. So, and I'm not saying that, Amy, I'm not saying that you did this, but I'm just saying just the thought idea and what you're illustrating, Frederick, is how do I see this differently? How can I photograph this in a way that's different enough to communicate in a way that most people might not sense? Because I have this ability, right, to distort reality a little bit and draw your attention in.
Yeah. Yep. Fun stuff, though. What a good critique topic.
Yeah, it turned out to be a very good one.
Yep.
Despite all the crap you gave me last week.
That's my job, man. Come on. All right, Amy Brooks, thank you for that. Michael Rhino is up next. And Michael Rhino says, my photo for the flowers theme is this one that I took at about 1:30 a.m. in front of word Frederick is not going to try to pronounce, which can be seen in the background. Nice. Okay, I'm interested to get your thoughts on this because this is interesting. My first opinion on this shot was really nice shot. Not even going to talk about the border. You could talk about that if you want. But really nice shot. It's cropping the waterfall off. So I either want the waterfall in the shot or out of the shot. So I feel like, it needs to, be moved in either direction, even if it's out of focus like it is. It's fine. The flowers at the bottom, I want a little bit more space because I feel like they're a little bit too close to the frame, to the edge of the frame. It's not egregious, but I feel like, I want a little bit more space around them so they don't, distress me so much by being so close to the border. But other than that, great. I love the color palette. I love the craming and the framing and the composition. Oh, framing and composition is craming. Look at that. I love the framing of this photo. But yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing is my brain is like, oh, I want to see the top of that waterfall, so show it to me, zoom out a little bit. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. That was my very, very, very first thing is I brought my hand up and I cropped out the waterfall, and that's the right crop for this image. If you have the top of the waterfall, then by all means add it. The other distracting element for me in this is that there is that hole right in the middle of the flowers that has no flower. And I know that you can't control that, but you can change your perspective to grab it. But just speaking to this image, everything that Frederick said, I agree. It's too tight on the bottom. We need to either have all the waterfall or no waterfall. And the flowers are beautiful.
And then in all seriousness, talking about the key line around the flowers, obviously he sampled yellowish orange from the flowers and used that as the key line. Is that good to do that, or should it just be white?
It's good to do. It's okay. It's sort of a creative, exercise. It's like whatever you want to do. I do think that when you do that, you need to bring the tones down even more so than where they're at right now. I would take this down probably, another full stop on that key line, so it just barely shows up. But I like it. No, if you're going to put a map behind it or something like that, that's totally appropriate. So it's nice.
Very cool.
Well done.
Right,
well done.
Thank you, Mr. Rhino. Look how sharp those.
He's just
flowers
showing off that he's been to Iceland.
One day, you got to get there before it's no longer Iceland. All right, next shot is from Peter Levshin, meaning no longer Iceland in that I want to see those blue icebergs before they're
right.
Peter says, shot this with his A7R3 in Bali. The only flower shot I have that I can access. All my other files are in limbo. Oh, the Drobo story again that you've probably heard a million times.
Oh yeah, I am currently right now as we speak rebuilding his Drobo raid. I've got another 17 hours out of 54 hours it's been running. So
good. So he'll have his images back then.
Yeah.
Good.
So then he won't have any more excuses.
What do you think of the shot?
I like it. I think
this is obviously a portrait.
Yeah, it's obviously a portrait. I mean, when it's not a strong flower shot. I think that if we wanted to do a flower shot, we would have cropped his face, like bisected his face, and then just grabbed the flower to the right and cropped it in really tight. I think that would have been kind of creepy, and it would have been more flower. But as a portrait, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, like do a crop like this, right? So that you're cutting like that and then up here. So it's just the expression, half a face with a knife in there, and then the juxtaposition of this aggressive face with a knife and a flower. And a flower. Oh yeah, there just happens to be a flower.
Yeah, versus the hands and the dirty nails and all that and chest hair. That's like, what's up with that chest hair? Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Peter, experiment with that crop. That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, it'd be a good crop.
All right, Peter Levshin. And we have one left, and it's Ernest Hallett.
We do.
Hallett. Ernest says, added the little water drops. So it's spray bottle, white corn syrup dissolved in hot water. Yeah, see, mine was just straight water. Then cooled off. Sometimes you're lucky, and sometimes you have to make your own water drops. All the best. Yes, I agree. Yeah. I agree.
I love the dark tones of this. I think that's really, really, really cool. Where I struggle with this is the lighting. I think that, the stem is way too bright, but mostly, why aren't all the flowers have water drops? Why just that one flower?
Yes. Yeah. Well, because he's in front. He's on stage, so he's nervous and sweating.
Yeah, the other flowers are backup singers.
That's right. They're fine. They're understudies.
Yeah, 20 feet from stardom.
Yeah. No, I didn't even notice that. You're absolutely right. Yeah, if you're gonna spray them, you got to spray all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, one of my pet peeves is that crop. There's so much negative space above that flower that it serves no purpose. So, some dodging on this would be really, really helpful. Darken up that stem, crop it in a little bit tighter, bring some of those tones down just a bit more, the specular highlights or just the overall highlight reflection on the flower itself.
Yep.
And I think you'd have a winner. I think it'd be very tight.
Yeah, I agree. The things that, I agree with everything you said. I didn't even notice the water until you said it, but this mass back here throws me. That sort of dark mass in the background. I would love to have seen that sort of composed out of this shot, so that it's just the elements of the flowers and the beautiful gradient of sky in the background with none of this there, because that is taking me into sort of a trap, like you say. It's taking me into a trap in the lower right of the image. If it's just the flowers, it becomes much more graphical and impactful. And with the crop you suggested, and all the flowers sort of treated equally, and none of them cut off like this one, I think that would have been like, boom, it sort of pops.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Very cool subject matter, though.
Yeah. Tulips, tiptoeing through the tulips. All right. Do you have a favorite?
I do have a favorite. It is the Japanese crystal anemone.
That word. Of course, you're going to pick the word that my brain doesn't like to say, right? I agree.
Cool,
yes.
Right? Like that flower on the right, that petal feels very crystalline, very translucent. I really dig that.
Yeah, that's art. Yeah, it's art for sure, and that would definitely be a shot that you could see printed big. It hits on a lot of areas.
Yeah.
The one area, like I said, is just Nora going in a different direction from, like, say, my photo, which was all about detail and crispness and pop of color. This is the opposite of that, and it works really, really well. I really enjoy this.
Yeah. It's a beautiful, beautiful image.
Cool. Well, congratulations, Nora Znotinas, once again.
Nora.
Taking the prize. What's our topic for next week?
Our topic for next week is wide angle.
Wide angle. Yeah, we foreshadowed that last week. Yeah. Wide angle.
We did.
All right. So that could be define wide angle. So is that panorama? Could they shoot a wide angle shot, and stitch a bunch of shots together a la Mark Charrette? Or can it be a fisheye shot? Or does it have to just be a traditional wide angle lens that's like,
all of the above. It's something that has to do with a wide perspective, right? A perspective beyond what would be our normal human perspective of what is it, roughly 50 millimeters, right? Or so anything beyond that is considered wide. So be creative. Consider your critiquers in that. Right. Pander to the judges a little bit, because
Well, it's hard. It's hard to pander to this panel because, one likes borders and one doesn't like borders. I don't dislike borders, for the record, folks. I do not dislike borders. Borders are fine, but I think borders are like salt. Right? You just a little bit, just need a little bit every now and then. Not every meal needs salt. Some needs a little bit of salt to try, and if it's a tool, if used properly, then it gets the job done. If you need to trap an image, and that adds to the overall composition, and by all means. But I don't think every image needs a border. I just don't.
No. And this is competition. This is our 8th critique since we started, and we have 9 more to go, including the wide angle. So we're nearly halfway through this quarter.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Nora Znotinas is giving everyone a run for their money, so it's time to up the game on the wide angle.
Yeah.
So let's see what folks can do with the wide angle. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, thank you, Troy Miller. It's been another fascinating critique. I'm looking forward to seeing what folks come up with wide angle. I have some ideas for a shot that I want to submit. Wide angle. And it doesn't involve a spritzer bottle, so it may, however, involve a panorama shot with a drone. Oh, yes. So, or a couple of them. All right, well, cool. Any final thoughts before we shut this one off, Troy?
No, other than, well, I always say no, and then I have something to say. Be safe, have a good time. Check out, I'm going to be doing another Twitch stream this Thursday, spicyjello_, and I'm going to have my daughter on this time. So Frederick was on last time, so Kira will be on this time with me. We're going to talk about design and graphics and colors and edit images and
cool
fun stuff. Just hang out.
I will definitely hang out, and I have some questions to throw at the designer and see where that goes. That's cool. Yeah. Awesome. All right, folks. Well, thank you for hanging with us. Over the next week or so, I will get our is it live or is it Memorex schedule nailed down if we're going to be doing these live or not. And if so, I just have to lock them down. I have to lock them down on a specific date and time and platform and make sure everything sort of works together. There's a lot of things that need to be scheduled like that, like the interviews that I do. I want to start doing those live. So all those need to be sort of on a regular, repeatable and attainable cadence. So that's what I'm working through now, and all that stuff will manifest. If you're a TWiP Pro member, you'll see that in the events queue of all the different things that are coming up. So you won't have to, hey, when's this going to happen? You'll just look there, and if you RSVP for that event within TWiP Pro, it'll remind you and all that good stuff. So it'll be fun. Troy, we should put your Twitch streams in there. Make an event for that so people can be.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Yep. Cool.
Very cool.
All right, folks. Thank you for hanging out for our flower critique. We will see what you folks can do for wide angle next week. All right?
Yes.
This is TWiP.